Today, I'm talking about how my ex tried to cockblock me and stop me from talking to other guys after we broke up. He was a scary, vengeful ex, so I eventually had to cut him off completely. I don't like doing that, but I seriously feared for my own safety, and in this video, I'll be getting into the full story. But before all the horrendous details, a little background. Let's call this ex Hieu. Hieu was the Vietnamese international student in dental school I lost my virginity to. A spicy story in itself I explore in a separate video. We had a lot in common as he loved board games, personality psychology, and philosophical discussions. As an INTJ for his Myers-Briggs personality type, Hieu was supposedly the ideal match for my personality type, the ENTP. He was the mastermind and I was the debater. Not the most friendly titles, but hey, it's true. After a couple weeks as boyfriends, however, I realized that we just didn't have the same values in life. He didn't truly care about the welfare of other people, or even try to care. He would get so happy when bad things happened to people he had petty grudges against. And he'd laugh nefariously when talking about, for example, how those who looked down on him in group projects because he had a foreign accent ended up getting worse grades and begging him for help. Sure, I can see the appeal in that, or even how that can just be a funny, ironic story. I mean, I admit to sometimes having the guilty urge to want to see bad things happen to bad people too, but it was a constant theme, and I started to realize that it wasn't just funny remarks. He was actually very vengeful. One time he told me about how he spilled water on the keyboard of someone he didn't like. That scared me. His little grudges weren't just lip service anymore. He took destructive action. And that's totally not what I stand for. At the end of the day, I don't claim to be a saint, but I care about striving to be a good person. And part of that is understanding the value of being kind to those who are unkind. Not trying to get preachy, but it's just that I don't think I can be with someone who doesn't fundamentally care about this, who doesn't feel guilt at the thought of rejoicing in others' demise. So, I broke up with him. It wasn't a dramatic, explosive breakup. In fact, we actually continued to be friends, and I invited him to hang out with my friends too. And that's when things got out of hand. One night, we carpooled with my friend Brady on our way to the club. I sat in the passenger seat to keep Brady company, and during the whole ride, Hieu would snap back at Brady's comments or try to prove him wrong. Some people thought Brady had a crush on me, and it felt like Hieu was aggressively jealous of him. I didn't want to escalate things, so I just tried to manage tensions until the night was over. But Hieu really got on my nerves during a game night at my friend's house. That game night was where I met Richard, a tall Chinese guy who had just graduated from Berkeley. Richard was pretty good looking and smart too, understanding new games very quickly and elegantly explaining them to others. I tried to chat him up throughout the night, and we had great chemistry, but Hieu would keep butting in at every chance, talk him down, or question whatever he was saying. It was so annoying. I didn't tell Richard that Hieu was my ex, so Richard was probably confused as to why Hieu seemed to hate him so much. Either way, after that night, I knew I had to completely cut things off with Hieu. We obviously couldn't just be friends. He was trying to sabotage my chances with other guys, and knowing him, physical forms of sabotage weren't off the table. I honestly didn't want to wake up to slashed tires one morning. Cutting someone off sucks, but I can honestly say I gave it a fair try. Hieu's just not the kind of person I want to be around. But what about you? Have you ever had to pull the plug on someone? Have you ever dated a vengeful, jealous person? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell if you want to be notified of future videos. Thanks for watching, and have a great day!